Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy, one of the things we've talked about on this show with respect to the myriad issues that plague Illinois and result in Illinois being the worst governed state in the nation, one of the highest tax burdens, largest unfunded pension liabilities, worst credit ratings. We just have too many units of government. We have nearly 7,000 units of government in this state, which is the most in the nation by a wide margin. Second is Texas with 2,000 fewer.
Right. And think of how big Texas is compared to Illinois.
4 times the population. And so this becomes a real problem. It's not just the size of government, it's the layers of government and all these taxing bodies that add up to the highest property tax bills in the nation, for example. Well, and it's not just in Illinois. You have one of the bubbles, in addition to the college loan bubble that is being blown up. You also have unfunded public sector pension liabilities, and that includes municipal workers, not just state workers. One model of reform, perhaps, and in part for some communities, may be Sandy Springs, Georgia, which is a town of about 100,000 people, only incorporated in 2005, so it's only been formally around as a incorporated municipality for a little bit more than a decade. And they're doing something very unique there that perhaps should be contemplated by some of the communities in Illinois. Maybe the community in which you live out there in our listening audience, 100,000 people. So when you hear the story of Sandy Springs, just contemplate this is about 25% more populated than Evanston. So think about Evanston or Springfield, our state capital, is about 100,000 people, a little bit more. Think about one of those bigger, mid-sized municipalities doing what Sandy Springs, Georgia has done. Not to mention smaller communities that may be more, maybe better positioned to do it. But
I can't wait to hear what they've done.
I'm telling you, this is why people are moving there, and this is why I'm moving there right after this show. We're happy to be joined now by Mayor Rusty Paul. He is the mayor of Sandy Springs, Georgia. Mayor Paul, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, it's good to be here, and we're excited that you're going to be a new citizen.
Thank you. It's not just a municipality. It's a separate country. I'm going to be a new citizen of Sandy Springs, Georgia. So tell our friends what you and your colleagues and fellow residents of Sandy Springs did in 2005 that is in stark contrast to how municipal government is done virtually throughout the rest of the country.
Well, we turned all of our government services over to a business. We have 8 full-time employees, besides fire and police, on our payroll. The other about 150 people who work in our city hall all work for a private business. And they provide everything from our public works to our finances, our IT, our code enforcement, the building permits, court operations. Everything's done by a private sector company. And they have contracts that are on average they're annual contracts, but we normally target that they get renewed annually for about 5 years, and then we totally recompete everything. In fact, the last time we did it, we walked out one day with one group of employees in the building, and the next day, not a total new group came in, but a significant number of new faces showed up. And what was astonishing about it was there was absolutely no gap in service because of the transition planning and timing that had gone on. And it saved us literally millions of dollars. The last time we did the contract, we were able to lower our governmental service cost, the basic cost of governmental services, by $7 million. And to put that into perspective, at the time we had an annual budget of about $85 million. So it was about an 8 to 9% savings in overall government services. And the amount of cost increase on an annual basis is in the 1 to 2% range on average.
And I just want to be clear too. You mentioned some of the departments that are just being run by a private business, but I mean the services provided in Sandy Springs, Georgia, are not dissimilar from the services provided in communities that surround you. They're just being provided differently.
No, we're identical as far as the kind of services. We don't have a water system. We buy our water from the city of Atlanta. We don't have a sewer system that's provided by the county. We don't operate an airport. But beyond that, virtually every other municipal service that you receive on a daily basis, we provide to a community of about 105,000 people.
Wow. So, I mean, I know you talked percentage, but how much money do you think you've saved the taxpayers? And is that passed along to them through, like reduced property tax bills, or how do you reward
Well,
them?
what's interesting is because of this, we're able to dedicate about 20% of our annual budget to capital improvements. So we're spending about right now we're spending about $21 million on road resurfacing, sidewalks, stormwater improvements, the kind of things. And to put that into perspective, our county, which has a population of right at 1 million, spent about $5 million on infrastructure. One of the big challenges that communities have is our infrastructure is rotting away. The piping underground, whether it's water, sewer, stormwater, our roads and streets are deteriorating, sidewalks are not going in. And we're able to take 25% of our annual budget, pay in cash, and do that. We've over the last 10 years, we've done over 35 miles of sidewalk, resurfaced over 200 miles of residential streets, done probably 100 different stormwater projects around the community. So it's freed up cash that we can pour back into the long-term infrastructure investments that have been neglected, not only in Georgia and Illinois, but all across the country. So if you save money on your governmental daily services, then that frees up funds that you can plow back in. We did to talk about back to taxes, we did a survey when we first had our budget surplus, and we said, well, do we cut the taxes or do we plow it back into the infrastructure? And we did a poll. We asked the residents what they wanted. We told them what they would get back in return. And 65% of them said keep the money still and continue to pave the streets, build the sidewalks, and fix things around town. So that's what we've done. They like the way we operate it, so they don't want their money back. They want us to keep spending it on the kind of things we've been spending it on.
Wait a second. What the hell are you doing asking residents what they want? Where did you come up with this revolutionary idea? That is, you're getting...
Well, we do that on a regular basis.
That's crazy talk.
We had one this Tuesday. We've got a project. And I had 125 of my closest, dearest friends come in, and not all of them were happy about what we were doing. We have, on any major project that we do, we have community meetings where we invite the public in, we show them what we're doing, ask their feedback. We actually give them red and green and yellow stickers to go around and put green stickers on projects they like, stickers on projects they don't like, and if they don't have an opinion, they put a yellow sticker on. That's just something we've done from the beginning.
I live in Chicago, and we have, town hall meetings where they want to hear what we have to say, but they're not listening because the decision is made before we even get into the meeting. So,
well, we show them options. We have a lot of infrastructure projects. We're trying to retrofit a lot of these infrastructure projects that we're doing are retrofitted into a very mature, built-out community. So they're not without pain. We have to close streets, we have to close intersections, we have to do some of those things. But we get public feedback about how they want us to go about these things, and then I said, like I told them Tuesday night, be careful what you tell us because we take it seriously.
Wow!
And we go out and try and do that.
I mean, the idea it's something I never thought of. The idea that you would take the suggestions or opinions of your constituents seriously. That is, you're going to engineer a revolution in this country with that kind of reckless talk, Mayor Paul. Let me ask you just another question. How has this been received by Sandy Springs is a suburb of Atlanta? How are other municipalities in the suburban area of Atlanta looking at this? And do you have others that are looking to replicate at least some of what you're doing there?
We were the first to do this back in, as you noted, in December of 2005 when the city started. And since then, I know of about 5 or 6 cities in the metropolitan Atlanta area that have adopted some model of ours. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, if you choose not to, you can privatize some services. I mean, public works is very easy to do. You have a lot of construction contractors and engineers and architects that you can reach out to. Code enforcement is fairly easy to do. IT obviously is easy to do. And one of the things when I talk to other cities, they say, "Well, we've got our workforce here. We've got all these other issues." I say, "Well, it's simple. Just let your employees compete, just like they were a contractor. You might be surprised they might win the contract and show you how to save money because they're the ones on the front lines to do things on a day-to-day basis. So give your employees an opportunity to compete. You might be surprised at the results you get.
We need you to come take a sabbatical to Chicago.
I've got a headache. First he's talking about
Makes so much
taking
sense.
the opinions of his constituents seriously. Now he's talking about competition in the public sector. Wow, these are very seditious kinds of ideas, at least in these parts, Mayor Paul. A final question before we let you go. How has this been received by like public sector unions and others there who would rather see kind of municipal jobs than these sorts of services outsourced to business?
Well, and there is a little bit of contrast. I mean, in Georgia, the municipal unions are not quite as entrenched as they are maybe in Illinois, New York, California, some of the other locations. But I've got the mayor of Guelph, Ontario, coming in January, and they have a highly unionized area. And they're excited about taking a look at how they can do this and save money. But it's not only about saving money. It's about the quality of services that you get. The people who show up at our offices every day, it's not a jobs program. It is a service delivery program. And they show up knowing that their contract is going to come to an end at some point, and they're going to want to hold on to that contract. And the only way that they have a shot at holding on to that contract is if our people are happy with the quality of services that they're getting. And I get very few complaints about the day-to-day service delivery. In fact, just the opposite. Every time we survey our community and ask them, how do you feel about things that are going on, we get an 80-plus percentile approval rating on general services because we track phone calls, we record the phone calls coming in, we have metrics, you have to return phone calls within a certain period of time. If the project is done, you've got to call the person who complained about it and let them know what happened. So we measure these things and hold our contractors accountable for service delivery. And as a result, phone calls get returned. I won't say that we're perfect, but we have a very high response rate on complaints, and we get back to our citizens and let them know how we resolve them.
Well,
and that's part of the contract that we have with those companies that provide services.
Well, congratulations for producing a model that should be considered and clearly is being considered. It's a great story. Mayor Rusty Paul, he's the mayor of Sandy Springs, Georgia. Mayor Paul, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck down there.
It was great to be with you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.